Welcome to Top 30. I'm Richard Bacon.
And I'm Kristen Smith. And here are your top 30 stories in 30 minutes.
More than half of young people aged 12 to 24 report having at least one side effect after consuming an energy drink. The high caffeine drinks can produce adverse side effects like a fast heartbeat, a headache, and difficulty sleeping. In an online survey of more than 2,000 young people, 1 in 500 reported having seizures after having an energy drink, although there's no link to the drinks. The study was published in the Canadian Medical Association Journal, and in 2010, Health Canada deemed the stimulants found in energy drinks as a safety concern. Children and young people in particular are thought to be more susceptible to their effects. The US Food and Drug Administration reported more than 30 deaths linked to energy drinks between 2004 and 2012. And with no real nutritional value, these drinks aren't considered healthy, which has some people calling for more strict regulations when it comes to children buying and consuming them.
The Olympics are underway, and events like figure skating showcase the elegance and grace of the games. But other events like bobsled, luge, and downhill skiing focus on pure speed and tight turns, so they don't always end as well. The website 538.com analyzed data dating back to the 1994 games to see which event had the most wipeouts. A lot of people may guess speed skating, luge, or the bobsled, but the event with the most crashes by far is downhill skiing. According to 538, almost 30% of downhill skiers at the Olympics didn't cross the finish line, with the slalom being hardest to finish. One of the events that looks the most dangerous is actually the safest. Every single Olympian competing in the skeleton has finished their run. Here's hoping all of our athletes stay safe out there.
Let's go to the New York Stock Exchange for our Fox Business Minute with your friend and mine, Nicole Pedalides. Nicole, you got a rare story, Amazon cutting jobs.
That's right, Richard. Amazon is set to cut hundreds of corporate jobs. This according to the Seattle Times. The cuts are expected to be in the company's consumer retail division. Although the percentage of affected employees won't be high, cuts of any kind are rare when it comes to the e-commerce giant. First, there was Uno, and now there's Dos. This is the latest card game by Mattel and the latest move by the toy maker to update classic brands such as Barbie and Hot Wheels. Dos will cost $5.99 and will be sold at Target first and then roll out to the other stores in August. Americans seem to be more confident in the economy, and this has led to an increase in consumer spending. Well, it turns out U.S. households may be borrowing more to fuel their spending as wages grow slowly thanks to this confidence boost.
So, Nicole, people are borrowing more. What does that mean for their savings?
Savings rates are falling. In fact, the average American saves less than 5% of his or her disposable income. But Americans appear confident even amid slow wage growth.
Nicole Pedalides from the New York Stock Exchange, thank you. Kristen, you have a story about a big recall made by the FDA.
Yeah, Richard, a salmonella scare has prompted the FDA to issue recalls on 3 brands of dog food, including Ross for Paws, Red Barn Pet Products, and Smokehouse Pet Products. According to the FDA, there's a risk to humans handling the dog food as well, and 2 kids were already reported ill from the contamination. And the Golden State Warriors have been in a slump, so Coach Steve Kerr decided to let the team coach themselves during their Monday night game against the Phoenix Suns. The players ran virtually the entire game, and they ended up winning 129-83. And how sweet is this? A little girl with Down syndrome got up during a papal service with Pope Francis, and instead of letting the security guards take her back to her mom, the Pope said, "Come sit next to me." He continued with his service while holding the little girl's hand. What a beautiful image.
New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman filed suit against the Weinstein Company, including Harvey Weinstein and his brother Robert, the studio co-founder. The suit is on behalf of the alleged abuse victims of Harvey Weinstein and seeks an unspecified amount to cover damages and penalties. What's fascinating about this is it isn't only about Harvey, it's about the board of directors at the Weinstein Company, which I think could open up a whole new avenue in the Me Too movement, because this is also about bullying, and it's about what did management turn a blind eye to.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And this suit really shows how convoluted this scandal was, involving so many people, names that we haven't heard of yet, like various assistants, various drivers who witnessed some crazy stuff, various executives who, despite evidence presented to them, said nothing, did nothing.
I mean, the driver one is absolutely astonishing.
It really is.
I mean, there was a requirement, according to the lawsuit, that his drivers keep condoms and erectile dysfunction injections in the car at all times.
Yeah. It's pretty disgusting and very scary when it talks about the various death threats, even allegedly saying that I will kill you, I will kill your family. Looking through these things, it's absolutely grotesque.
I do wonder if the next chapter of this whole thing will be corporate bullying.
And it's such a real problem today that I don't think we talk about enough. So to your point, I agree. Speaking of bullying, really, and outrage, some people say a revenge scene in the new Peter Rabbit film is in poor taste. Have you heard about this one?
I have.
A lot of people are saying this scene teaches children how to bully people with food allergies, which of course can be very serious. So this scene, you guys, if you know the story of Peter Rabbit, there's Mr. McGregor, and basically in this movie, it's Mr. McGregor's nephew. And the Peter Rabbit is throwing berries at the nephew. The nephew eats a berry, is allergic to the berry, has to use an EpiPen on himself because he goes into shock, and chaos ensues.
I tend to agree with Neil Fitzpatrick, who wrote on Twitter, I remember violent cartoons as a child, and I don't recall brutally killing anyone growing up. Have some faith in your kids, breathe, and remember, it's just a stupid film about talking rabbits.
I understand the point. Of course, but you know I'm going to put my mommy hat on and say I also understand the very credible organizations who are speaking out against this. The CEO of Allergy UK, the US-based Food Allergy Research and Education Program. They're saying, hey, this isn't funny and it's poorly represented.
But I don't think one of your children is going to start throwing blackberries at a kid who's got a blackberry allergy. Like,
Have you met my daughter? Have you met her?
The official portraits of President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama debuted at the Smithsonian's National Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C. Barack's portrait was painted by African-American artist Kehinde Wiley, and Michelle's by Amy Sherrill, the first woman to win the National Portrait Gallery's Outwin Buchiva portrait competition. The flowers in the background are from Hawaii and Kenya and places that are part of his life. But I'm not sure that his body language and his expression is an exact match to the context, but there is one portrait of Obama, one image of Obama that I think is far more moving, and far more representative of who he really is. That one. That's the one that should be hanging in the Smithsonian National Portrait Gallery of Washington.
And every portrait gallery around the world, for that matter.
Two great men of our times gazing into each other's eyes.
Very introspective.
We'll be back in a minute. The Trump administration wants to cut federal food stamps for low-income Americans. A new budget proposal would reduce funding for the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, or SNAP, by $17 billion before the end of next year. Instead, the government wants to give people on SNAP something called America's Harvest Box, which is a package of groceries they compared to Blue Apron. They say, ultimately, this will all reduce costs while still feeding the hungry. You know, Blue Apron food is actually quite high-end.
Yeah.
And this is why it's not a particularly good comparison. These boxes will have in them shelf-stable milk, beans, canned fruit, and will not include fresh fruits or vegetables. It's a bit like stuff they used to give out in England during the war.
Okay, so not Blue Apron.
No,
Blue Apron is high-end ingredients. There's a bunch of spices. You put it all together, and voila. You know, analysts are skeptical about this. I think a lot of people are as well. It would affect 16.4 million households here, and it would really have a ripple effect. I mean, think about big box retail stores like Walmart and Target. I mean, all of a sudden, their business would be massively cut by billions. We're talking billions here.
Yeah. This is a quote from Joel Berg, CEO of Hunger Free America. He says, they've managed to propose nearly the impossible, taking over $200 billion worth of food from low-income Americans while increasing bureaucracy and reducing choices.
To play devil's advocate, the idea behind the Trump administration is that, you know, they could buy the food wholesale instead of retail, so they'd save a lot of money there. And also, they can make the food healthier, which targets bigger issues like obesity and heart disease, but it does take away choice, and this is America.
I agree.
Okay, there's a new email scam to talk about, you guys.
Good.
It targets people who are single on Valentine's Day, which I think is just rude. I mean, when you're single, you already have other things to worry about. So here's another thing. The messages come from a network of zombie bots that are the biggest source of spam email in the world. They're sending out about 30 million emails a day, posing as foreign women living in the U.S. and looking for love. IBM says what they do, they ask for revealing photos, they ask for money, and then they infect your computer with malware.
Here's what I would say, Kristen, is if you are single, you get that email and it says, I am a rich Russian hot woman, there's at least a chance, however small, that it might be true. And can you afford, as a single person, to let that chance slip away?
Here's what to look out for. Bad grammar, okay? A pickup line that is just too good to be true from the rich Russian chick. And also an email address. The return address is different from the original address.
You know, if you're single, you get this email, you think it's real, and then, you know, it turns out to be a bot. There are plenty of people who say it is better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Something that you'll be right back.
In today's Hometown Stories from Fox 13 Tampa Bay, when Rena Carrillo was battling cancer, a group of friends came together to form the Teal Recovery Project, raising money to help pay for her ever-growing bills. Today, Rena is not only in remission, but is the president of the fundraiser, helping others as she was helped. Each year, a woman diagnosed with cervical cancer is selected, and the group raises money for financial support.
To be able to give to one woman can ultimately change her life.
Our next story from Fox 2 Detroit. Students in the Detroit Public Schools Community District have a lot to be thankful for, thanks to a $500,000 grant from the Michigan Department of Education. Now, each student has access to a laptop filled with educational games and programs, giving everyone the chance to succeed regardless of income.
I remind them daily that, you know, they have this opportunity, and I, you know, make sure that I instill in them that not all schools are doing this, so we have to make it the best and do the best that we can every day.
Our final story from Fox 10 Phoenix. A three-point shot during a high school basketball game filled the court with cheers from both sides. Derek Wagner may have a developmental disability, but his love of the game is an inspiration to his teammates.
He makes us want to go harder, and he's always out there pushing us, and we just love having him.
Derek's sheer tenacity is what makes him MVP in our book.
There may be a new solution to help slow the $1.3 trillion in student debt Americans are facing right now. It's called an income share agreement and is starting to become a more popular choice for students. And here's how it works. A student enters into an agreement with an investor or a school. The student agrees to pay them a percentage of his or her salary for a certain number of years after graduation. In exchange, the investor will pay the college tuition owed, or the school will waive the fees. Proponents say it's a win-win situation. The student leaves school with no debt and can focus on building a career, and it can be more affordable since there's no interest build-up over time. But the critics argue investors will only pick the top students at the top schools because they have the highest earning power, meaning more money for the investor, and that could lead to discrimination. Right now, just a few schools are offering this option, but that number is slowly growing as it becomes a more popular way to pay for school.
Fresh off a Super Bowl win and almost in handcuffs, Mike Jarek from Fox 29 in Philadelphia joins us with more on a situation that developed during the Philadelphia Eagles victory parade last week. Mike?
Yeah, Eagles running back Corey Clement, who happens to be from this area, as a matter of fact, big hero back here, got off of the bus that the players were on going down Broad Street in the Parkway here in Philadelphia just to go over and shake hands with fans, take some selfies, stuff like that. Well, a couple police officers thought it was an unruly fan who had hopped the fence. No, it was Corey. Another one of the officers on a bicycle says, no, that's our running back, Corey Clement. So they released him right away and he got back on the bus.
Well, Mike, I understand the Eagles' victory is kind of rubbing off on the whole city.
That's right. Ever since the Super Bowl win by the Eagles, our hockey team, the Flyers, have not lost, and the basketball team, the Sixers, they've not lost. The two teams have a combined record of 8-0 since the Super Bowl. Keep it going.
Well, we certainly hope they do on behalf of the great city of Philadelphia. Thanks, Mike. A study done at the Duke Global Health Institute in Durham, North Carolina, says if you want to succeed at weight loss, you have to get on the scale every day, which is why we've got today's top 30 solution, Advanced Fitness Scale, at a special 67% discount. The FDA-approved Advanced Fitness Scale is perfect if you're looking to keep track of your body's progress on your fitness journey. The sleek design, multiple functions, and mobile device compatibility allows you to keep track of your body fat, hydration level, body mass index, muscle mass, bone mass, and visceral fat while you're on the go. And not only that, it's got Bluetooth compatibility, which allows you to stream, sync, and store vital data on its app for up to 10 users. The Advanced Fitness Scale retails for as much as $89.99, but today you can buy it for just $29.99. That's about a 67% discount. And you can get this right now with free shipping at luluway.com while they last.
There are items on some planes that not even the flight crew will touch. One flight attendant told Vice recently, "Don't drink the coffee on airplanes." The person worked for a major American airline and didn't give their name because they were afraid of losing their job. The same water that's used for hot drinks is reportedly also used for plane toilets. Many flight attendants also avoid using ice. It is sometimes made from the same tap water. A spokesperson for the carrier EasyJet confirmed the practice but told the Daily Mail there is absolutely no chance of any cross-contamination due to the system's plumbing design. Clean water is loaded onto airplanes daily, but one 2015 study concluded that plain water tanks are conducive for microbial growth. Most flight crews say the safest water on planes comes from a bottle.
8-year-old Evan Prescott was born with a genetic condition called epidermolysis bullosa, causing the skin to painfully tear and break into blisters. But a doctor at the Montreal Children's Hospital has come up with an unconventional treatment to ease the pain in the young boy. Opioids and distraction techniques were used during the agonizing treatments, but the suffering was heartbreaking for the family, so they agreed to try something new. Dr. Pablo Engelmo and his team used nitrous oxide, also known as laughing gas. It's fast-acting with no lingering side effects. Evan and his family are now the first in the world trained to administer the gas from home, making the treatment of his disease far more tolerable. His parents say it's been life-changing. Dr. Engelmo's message is simple. He says, there are other things to do when you think there is nothing to do. Black History Month is a time to celebrate the achievements of African Americans throughout our country's history. And one of those Americans is former NASA engineer Lonnie Johnson. You may not know his name, but you definitely know his most famous invention. Lonnie invented the Super Soaker water gun, and it would go on to become the top-selling toy in the world. Lonnie came up with the idea when he was working at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory at NASA in the early 1980s. He built the first prototype model in just 2 weeks, and eventually he sold the idea to a toy manufacturing company. The water gun first hit the market in 1990 and was originally called the Power Drencher. The next year, it was rebranded as the Super Soaker and sold over 20 million units in 1991 alone. Ever the scientist, Lonnie has used most of his earnings to fund his own scientific research company.
Flu season is hitting hard this year, and according to Consumer Reports, there is a nationwide doctor shortage. The report states there are fewer primary care doctors available in the United States, especially compared to other developed nations, making it difficult to get an appointment in a timely manner. In 2014, the average wait time for a new patient to see a family medicine doctor was 19.5 days. Now, it's averaging 29 days. That's nearly a month. To help fill the gaps, many practices are taking a team approach, often enlisting the help of physician assistants or nurse practitioners to take the new clients if the patient is willing. And it's not just the patients feeling it. Primary doctors say they are swamped, overworked, and burnt out, which could drive even more of them out of the profession.
If you don't have a plan for Valentine's Day yet, you might be scrambling. But it's not too late to plan a last-minute night out with your special someone. And savvy shoppers can save on their night out. Many businesses run Valentine's Day deals. Supermarkets are offering promotions on roses like Aldi, Costco, and Trader Joe's. Because Whole Foods is owned by Amazon, the store makes roses cheaper for Prime members. 2 bouquets for $19.99. Some chain restaurants have Valentine's Day deals or special menus that include appetizers and dessert, like buco de beppo or macaroni grill. If you need a gift, there are options for Valentine's activities. Ticketmaster is selling 2-for-1 tickets for some concerts. If your date is more adventurous, the Escape Room is giving some female guests roses and chocolate. The average American is expected to spend over $143 on February 14th, up from last year. Total spending in the U.S. will top $19.5 billion. For more ideas on how to spend Valentine's Day, go to our Top 30 Facebook page. Hey, Richard, what's coming up on our next show?
Kristen, we are talking about the cost of being an Olympian. Becoming an elite figure skater can cost over 6 figures before getting to a single Olympic event. Plus, these photos from deep space have set a new record, and the story of how one homeless man became a hero. Top 30 also covers more of the day's stories live on Facebook daily, 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern. See you next time on Top 30.